Welcome back to another episode of Going Direct. Today we have two very special guests with us. We have Sean Edwards from District 4 Rank and File Director.
What up?
And we have Mason Fenzel, AAU Rank and File Rep.
Happy to be here.
Thank you both for coming. Today, why don't I let you guys introduce yourselves first, and then we'll get into the topic of what we're going to discuss. So just a little brief background of who you are, how long you've been with the department, the union, and yeah.
Yeah. Sean Edwards. I've been with the department since 2012 in San Benito, Monterey, pretty much professionally. I started as a volunteer PCF in Yucaipa of San Bernardino way back when. Shout out to those folks in Purdue. Been a union officer for about 10 years now. In 15 is about when I came on as a union officer. Currently, I'm the Rank and File Director for District 4. That's Fresno, Tulare, and beautiful San Benito, Monterey, repping, just rank and file stuff. So it's been interesting, long time kind of with it. But that's about what I'm doing on the union side. On the department side, I'm a medic captain at the Carmel Highland Station in Monterey on the coast, running the boat program there, ocean rescue, Type 1 engine, 3.0 ALS staffed, cross staff of Type 3. It's a amazing spot to be.
I will say I've been to your station.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Yes.
I was like, I was a firefighter. This is the life.
It is not too bad. It is not too bad. And we're hiring. So if anybody's out there, put it on out. Come on now.
Maybe me.
Yeah.
All right, I'll follow that. Mason Fenzel, Firefighter 1. Been hired since 2021. This is my 5th fire season. I was in AAU. Prior to now, I worked on Firefighter 1 crews and Schedule B engine. I am now Firefighter 1 in the Santa Clara unit. Still fulfilling my role in the AAU chapter as a rank and file officer. This is the 2nd year doing that. Happy to be here.
We're happy to be here, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm happy you guys are here.
Yes.
And we're here today to talk about mentorship. And I want to give a shout out to Mason, who actually had the idea to do a mentorship podcast of mentorship in the union and the department. So I kind of want to throw it back on both of you. And do you have any experience with either being a mentor or a mentee in either your department or union roles?
Why don't you take it, Mason? It was your idea.
Yeah,
I love it. I have an idea. All right, great. Get up here and do it yourself.
Let's roll.
God bless you.
I brought up this topic. I think it's an important part of the union right now and the department with the growth. Promotions are going on like crazy. The department's expanding more than ever before. And so I felt like this was a really important topic to talk about. It's how I got involved at a very early point in my career. Again, I'm still a seasonal firefighter in my 5th season. I was very fortunate back when I was on the Firefighter 1 crews. I had a captain who was heavily involved in the union, came up through rank and file. He was the deputy chapter director, bargaining trainee, very well diversified on the department and the union. Him and I had worked together for a good amount of time, and at the end, I want to say it was the end of my 2nd season, I approached him and asked, hey, I'm new, but I come from a union family. I'm interested in how this works and this aspect of our agency. How does this work? What should I do? Was very fortunate. He had said, come out to convention, come for a day. This is where the full circle of union business happens. This is how everything gets done and accomplished, and you see that full spectrum of start to finish with resolutions and contracts. And so I said, yeah, that sounds good. I'm Firefighter 1, so I was laid off. I got nothing better to do. So I was planning to go to convention for a day. That ended up changing. AAU chapter was kind of short, and so he had called me in my off season and said, hey, we're short. Would you be interested in coming as a delegate? You need to commit for the full week, but if you would like, we could use the help, and you'll get to come for the full week, really get a full diversified experience, and you can kind of be my quote-unquote trainee through this experience. And I said, yeah, sounds good. And so I went and got to see a full convention start to finish. And that was kind of how I got introduced. I obviously met the chapter, got to see all the chapters throughout the state. And yeah, to me, it was a very eye-opening experience of like, wow, this is an avenue to understand the why of our department, which is, I think, a very important aspect of this job. And was very lucky that the chapter liked what I did, felt like I had a good presence. And so they had approached me that year and said, hey, we're going to have a rank and file opening. Would you consider running? And I said, yeah, I don't feel like I'm the most experienced yet, but I'm happy to help and would like to learn more. And so that's kind of how my mentorship experience started with the union. And from there, it just kept on going.
And that was Nate Silva, or Silva?
Yep. Tom Silva.
Tom Silva.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Silva's a good dude. He was kind of part of, he was on the bargaining team back in the day. I'm on the bargaining team now. I guess I should have said that in the intro. I'm the central trainee on the bargaining team. Definitely had a lot of conversations with Silva, and he's a good dude. But that's interesting because it's something that like, hey, I don't know, maybe I'm interested or not. Oh, okay, you're interested. Boom, I got you. Oh, you're coming to the convention now, and like now you're an officer and everything like that. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty awesome that you're able to do that. And as a seasonal too, so you were laid off. How does that even work? Like, how can you have to pay dues, right, to actually be a delegate? Is that right?
Yes. So if I had just come to convention and hung out for a day, you are allowed to do that as a member of this union in the department, where it changed, like you're saying, as a delegate, and now as an officer. I believe as a delegate, I paid dues for the month of convention.
Okay.
Now that I'm a seasonal officer, I pay dues throughout the off season to continue my membership and officer status.
What else do you do on your? Do you do unemployment? Do you do other jobs? You're obviously not surfing in Mexico like most of the seasonals are doing.
Here and there. There was one off season I left pretty shortly after convention and went to Hawaii for a while. So it's not to say that I don't go have fun. For me, off season generally is working side jobs, and I still go to school a little bit, trying to work on education. But you always got to mix in a good trip too.
Man, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. And so you're seasonal now still. So that's kind of like, so it was Silva that brought you in. Shout out to Silva. He's a good homie. I know he's holding it down at, I think, the Natomas Training Center or something like that up here in Sacktown.
A-Firm, yep.
Yeah. And so now you are, but you said you're working in Santa Clara.
Yep.
But you're an AEU chapter rank and file rep.
Yep.
How's that working?
Yeah, so it's been good. I obviously ran for that position, and we talk about a 2-year commitment when you run for a position. So I was a year into that, looking at transferring to Santa Clara unit for some new challenges, being a little closer to home. I'm from the Bay Area. And so when that was coming up, I had talked to the chapter director and said, hey, I'm looking at transferring down there. How would you feel? I am more than happy to continue being a rank and file officer. Obviously, I'm not in the unit, so I'm not going to be as available 24/7, but I'm happy to still come to meetings. I'm happy to do rehire academies, signing people up. Like if this would be helpful to you guys, I'm happy to help out. And they said, yeah, we would still be happy with anything you can do. And so I stayed on.
Are you repping people in AEU?
Not currently, but as a rank and file officer, you still get phone calls. You still hear from people. People have questions. I'd say at this point, I get questions in Santa Clara unit just because I'm there. Yeah. But I still get phone calls from AEU every once in a while with, hey, like, how's this work? I got questions.
Yeah. So you get the question that I get a lot. Oh, you're a union guy. What do you think about this? Every time I hear that, it's like, do you pay dues? Do you pay dues? Well, we're all union guys. So what are you talking about? I'm a union officer. Yeah, sure. What's your question? So are you repping? Like, I'm curious, do you have kind of like a circle of influence for repping? Because I think that's kind of Kelly's question too, like as far as the mentor or mentee, ship for repping, who's in your circle? Like when you have questions, are you bouncing it up? Are you bouncing it off anybody? How's that go with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing, at least in my experience, that an officer can do. That's the best way I describe it to people is, hey, I don't know it all. I'm not the 100% expert by any means, but I'm educated enough and I know enough people within that inner circle where I can at least get you on the right direction if I don't know the answer myself. And so very fortunate to have good relationships with everyone at AU. Doug Gramboy's good example. I mean, he's been doing this almost as long as I've been alive.
Cowboy Doug.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Doug Gramboy, Tom Silva, not involved anymore, but very educated, knows what he's talking about. We've had really great officers in AU, and so I kind of know who specializes in what. I think that is a big part of this union. Is it's very hard to know it all, but everyone kind of has a niche, and so it's like, hey, like I know this about that. Okay, but that guy, he's gonna know what this is or how to go about it. And so I'd say that's the biggest thing is being comfortable in who you are and asking the question, like, hey, call up the chapter director. Hey, I've got to be honest. I don't really know what the proper procedure is with this. How would you go about it? And maybe call another person too. Get two perspectives. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. You're doing the members the service of what they pay for. They're looking for high quality service, and you're giving them ideally the best possible experience through whatever they're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, man. The rank and file questions that you get, it's almost like opinions too, because I could tell you, my experience in it and what I've been told. But oftentimes it's like, well, I don't know what, well, let me go to the source. One example specific is 8.13.4 of the MOU, and that's the travel time to and from an ordered overtime assignment is considered hours worked. So for me, it's never fire season until I start getting that question. That it's never, it's like, maybe it's, the season's declared or we're transitioning or whatever. It is not officially fire season until I start getting questions on this. And these last few weeks, I've definitely been getting this question. And it's almost like it's hard because the MOU in it itself is, travel time to and from an ordered overtime assignment is hours worked. Okay, so, I just got off a 4-hour staffing pattern, hold all till noon, so I should get travel time home. Well, actually, no, it's not. When it's incurred due to an incident activity or incident related, then you don't. Well, it doesn't say that. You're right, it doesn't. But there's also a memo that was written in I think the first one, was 05, and then 13 or 15, had an updated memo and actually, an updated memo. But it's interesting because Tim Edwards was actually the one that was at the table that negotiated that. And so then you call Tim Edwards and no, this is actually the notes and the background of that. But it's hard because in our business and just kind of our reality is you don't really know until you can actually find the person that was in the room. Is there anybody left that was in the freaking room when we negotiated or came up with this? Yeah. And I hate that, dude. But that's our reality. And so you have to kind of reach out and, what do you think? What do you think? Okay. All right. Hold on. Was anybody in the room when we actually talked about this? Oh, okay. You were. All right. What was actually said? And that could be hard, man. Because you also get this rep shopping too, right? I'm sure you've had that, guy gets in trouble, he calls you. Okay, well, this is, next thing you know, another guy's calling you because he called them, and you're like, well, I told him that. I'm like, oh, he's rep shopping. Okay, so they're just trying to go around to try and, convince somebody of their side of the story. So then one person will, yep, no, you're absolutely right. Let's do that, and they're steered astray. And so having that circle of influence with Cowboy Doug and Silva and those folks, I think is really, really important and something that, we need to really take consideration of. As far as mentors and mentees, it's just, who has the most valid information? A lot of times management, they're 4.1. I know I've said this a lot before. 4.1 of the MOU, it's the manager rights or the employer rights. And basically, dude, if you read that thing, it's like, okay, well, I basically have no rights at all. But there's one part of that is, unless expressly abridged or stated otherwise, other places in this contract, management has the rights to do everything. And having that influence and that mentorship and trying to figure out, okay, who's been in the room. Jenny Horst is definitely somebody that's in my circle. Our law firm, our staff counsel, Tim Edwards being around for so long, one of my, long mentors, District 5 rank and file director, guy by the name of Joe Santos. What up, bro? He's, solid. And just reaching out. Who's been around? Who's been in the room? Who's on the bargaining team? What does this mean? Obviously, Pete Proctor running the show, for the rank and file shop. Kudos to him, because that's a 24/7 job for sure.
Without a doubt. And yeah, I mean, you're hitting it on the head. That's been an eye-opening experience this year, going from AU to SCU. Institutional knowledge, for sure, is a undervalued experience that we don't give credit to. But coming from Amador El Dorado to the Santa Clara unit, it did really solidify. We talk about in rep class, there's kingdoms and queendoms throughout CAL FIRE, right? There's all these units. And it is interesting to see how business has conducted differently between those units, right? We all wear the patch, we all take the oath, we all have a badge. You would think it really is very streamlined, and in many ways we are, but seeing how things are handled differently, someone from AAU might not be a good rep in Santa Clara unit because there's different past practice or different managers who go about business differently. And so finding those, not rep shopping, but finding those people who have the knowledge, have the experience, know how things are handled is such an important aspect of being a union officer.
The daily working conditions. That's the stuff that can really actually be kind of, quasi-negotiated. I'm not saying direct dealing. If Tim Edwards is listening, I don't direct deal. We're all good. But it is those daily working conditions that, management is kind of hopefully bouncing some stuff off of chapter labor or district labor on, hey, this is what we have. This is what I think my rights are, as the employer, and so on and so forth. And it is that institutional knowledge, and those boundaries change drastically, dude. I mean, look at, overtime procedure, right? How it's flown, how it's filled. The fact that we don't all get our overtime checks on the exact same day, the unit personnel has 28 days, or by the end of the next work period, to pay. And so we're all kind of getting, sometimes paid a little differently, and that's rough. I was a PCF down in San Bernardino. Well, it was PCF and then volunteer and then reserve, whatever. It was kind of, I think, maybe towards the end of the program in Yucaipa. But it was interesting starting there and seeing that and having no idea of, really, the profession of CAL FIRE at all. And then coming in, I've ever worked only professionally in San Bernardino, Monterey. So that's my kingdom. That's what I know. Branching out to the district level, Fresno, Tulare, seeing how they kind of do things. But yeah, it's, dude, who's been there? Who's institutionally knows that? And those are the people to go to. And what often happens is the people that actually know what's going on institutionally in those units, they don't even work in those units anymore. Who was that chapter director? Oh, he's over here now, or there, and then you're calling them up or whatever, So, yeah, having that network of people is really important, and it's very difficult as far as, the union stuff goes.
Yeah, I know you and I kind of hit on it earlier, just having conversations, but we're at this point in the department where there's such growth, such promotion, such movement, which is exciting and awesome. But with that comes that loss of institutional knowledge. We don't have those guys doing 10, 15 years in a station, in a program, in an avenue of the department. And so I think that hammers home again the importance of mentoring the new, bringing people up, bringing them to the level, bringing them to the standard, because there aren't those people in those programs anymore who just know why it changed to this, how it's done. And so it's on us to coach them up to the level that we want.
When I first got hired in San Bernardino, Monterey, I was very lucky because a lot of those old timers, captains 20 plus years that were there. And I kind of came in this weird transition a little bit. A lot of the older, guard was kind of starting to retire, maybe promoting or whatever. And now, just 10 years later, there's really only 2 other people that work in my battalion that were there when I first started. Everybody else is, relatively newer. When I first got there, at my station that I'm at currently right now, the Carmel Highlands station, there was Colin McDonald, and he was a union officer with us. He was actually on the Carmel Highlands Fire Protection District, their roster before they contracted with CAL FIRE. So he was there for like 34 years in total. Most as their district, they contracted with CAL FIRE in 2000. So when I came, met him, and he was the guy. He was running the boat program out of Carmel Highlands, which now I have the absolute privilege to be able to manage myself out of that station. He was a union officer. He did a lot of reps in the one of the first Ione Gate things, with CHP doing all the investigations and stuff like that. And so I was able to learn a lot from him. But now, you're looking around and it's like, all of a sudden now I'm the guy that's kind of been there for, a while. And it's really interesting. There was no manual. There was nothing handed to me. It's just, thankfully, these people are still around and alive, and you can call them like, hey, there's this weird thing with our plumbing at the station. Do you know how to actually, fix that? Or what's the deal with that? Oh, yeah, sure. Call this guy and that guy. And I think that's one of the big things, to your point about, how we're hiring so much and so many, there's all this movement and this growth with the department, which is a fantastic thing. But, bro, there ain't no manual for this stuff. The onboarding process, the supervisor's toolbox on the intranet, we were talking about that at lunch before. It's like, come on, man. It's, the one thing I love is the 227, right? The code of conduct. We all have to sign it annually and new hires. And one of the clauses is you will adhere to all department policy. Oh, really? Have you seen, like, where do I start? Is it the 1,000 manual, or is it the 14 or the 7? Or which one are you talking about? Yeah. It's the fine letter, the fine print in the contracts. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. There's a lot of need for mentorship and leadership, and we're just trying to figure it out and, and see where we fit in all of this. And that's just the department side. I'm kind of curious, like, so you're a seasonal, how is that going, like, with mentorship? What's your background of firefighter? You said 5 years you've been a firefighter 1.
Yeah, this is my 5th season.
So you've kind of been around a little bit, a couple different units, it sounds like, too.
Yep.
What's that been like as far as mentorship and stuff?
I would say it's changed on the firefighter 1 level for sure. All the things we're talking about. Like my first season, I came in and it wasn't too uncommon to have firefighter 1s with 5 to 8 seasons, right? Those people had been around, been in the unit, worked different places, understood business. And I'd say, like, looking around now, it's getting pretty uncommon. Like 5 seasons is kind of as senior as you're going to get before engineers. And so I'd say that's been a change. That's been something to adapt to. It's the whatever you want to call it, the senior firefighter. I don't know if it's there in the same way it was 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, second year, you're the senior.
Yep. And like that was definitely my experience. Like coming in second year, like you guys are the leaders. What does that mean? I'm a leader now just because I'm not brand new. Like it's an interesting concept to look at. And then again, moving up, working with your engineers, working with your captains, people are promoting faster. And so I'd say there is a challenge to, if you want to be mentored, you have to find a mentor. And so looking for those people that inspire you are the people you want to be. That is something that is, I would say, a challenge as a mentee, looking for those people who are ready to mentor, and then going after that.
Yeah.
How do you, since you talk about that, how do you approach somebody then because you obviously found some people that you wanted to mentor you. How did you approach them, though, and actually get them to kind of, guide you or give you advice? Or how does someone looking for a mentor find one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first is you have to be honest with yourself and be willing to go out and look for it a little bit, whatever you want to call it, rev shop. We could use that term. Find those people in your career experience that you're around that, again, inspire or you want to be in the future. Find those people. And then it's a complicated kind of dance where you have to be comfortable asking. I've been very fortunate in my career. Like I've developed good relationships with supervisors and coworkers and been comfortable enough to, ask questions. I don't think you have to be as straightforward as like, will you be my mentor?
Right.
But finding those people that you have confidence in, that you can go and ask questions and be willing to learn. The side that you have to take on yourself is you have to be willing to ask the question, be willing to take criticism, make yourself in a way vulnerable, which is hard. I'd say that's not in our nature of this career.
But boy, I tell you what, man, a little dose of humility now and then does so good for us as being firemen.
Goes a long way, right? When I first approached my captain and asked about union stuff, like that's an area where I'm going to hopefully get to come and learn, but I know zero about.
Yeah.
And so I have to be willing to be that person in the room who doesn't know. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of us. I know it's uncomfortable for me at times. And so I'd say it's finding those relationships that you feel comfortable with and be willing to put yourself out there as I'm just the fly on the wall trying to learn, trying to better myself, better my organization. Those I would say are kind of the key ingredients if you're trying to have growth.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all right.
So then tell us a little bit why you brought the idea to have the podcast, and you specifically mentioned Sean. So what about Sean did you see as like mentor qualities, or because you guys aren't in the same unit, you've never worked together. Obviously, you know each other from union stuff, but what made you think, oh, Sean would be a great person to talk about this with?
Yeah. So my prior experiences with Sean, we took rep class together.
We sat next to each other.
Yes. We were partners for one of the exercises.
Yeah, we did a couple exercises together. Yeah.
Yep. And then other than that, this year, obviously seeing each other at convention, going to committee meetings, general session, talking. But prior to that, I definitely take a note to Sean at previous conventions. Sean was one of those people who was very clear, is involved, very well educated. I always remembered hearing you talk, and like there's just something where it's like, okay, he knows what's going on. He's passionate. He's here. He's one of those people who has put himself into this position and spent the years being uncomfortable, spent the years asking questions, and clearly has a diverse experience within this union. It's like that was a finding a mentor experience where I was like, that's someone who I should try to mirror, try to learn from, because you're going about business, in my opinion, the right way. That was kind of my experience with Sean prior to now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now it's just
And now what do you think?
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
What have I gotten myself into?
No, it was cool. Thanks for that. It's going to convention over the years and stuff has been fun, and it was cool to meet your family this year and all that stuff and have those experiences. So that was cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For our general membership meeting this year, because
I'm sorry.
convention
Yes,
was canceled.
Yep.
That was interesting.
This year.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an interesting. But plug for upcoming convention, San Diego, January 8th through 11th.
Yes.
2026.
Beautiful San Diego. That's right. Yeah.
We will be there.
Yeah. And another thing, too, while we're doing shout outs, September 5th is when nominations for new officers are due, right? So that's just around the corner. So what is this year? Now I'm putting myself on blast, but I think last year was the chapter director. And so now this year's nominations are for different.
It's all, so even years is like president, general vice president, and finance for state, district, and chapter, and then odd years is rank and file, supervisor, retiree, member liaison, any miscellaneous one, secretary.
Okay.
For state, district, and chapter.
Gotcha.
So.
All right. Are you going to run again? This is our year. Rank and file, right?
Rank and file, yeah, it's your year.
We will see.
Yeah.
I'm in an interesting limbo.
Yeah, because you're in a different unit now too, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I would assume I can't run an AU again.
No, because you're now, and
yeah.
that's. I mean, it makes sense, right? You've been nominated and elected in this position under this chapter. Now I've transferred and I'm in a different unit, but I'm still working out my time in that chapter's officer role. So I mean, it makes sense, but it is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a gray area. So I don't know. I'll have to have some talks with Santa Clara unit chapter, and we'll see. I'm sure I'll still be involved one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
So let's kind of take a step back, and maybe Sean, you can define for us, like, what is a mentor, what makes a mentor, and what good qualities would a mentor possess?
Yeah, it's really interesting that somehow I've found myself to be in this situation, both with the union and with the department as well. I think, really a good mentor is just someone that's patient. You have to have empathy and just understanding of, where that person is coming from. But, more recently, I'm in a position, professionally, being a fire captain at my station, and we just hired a brand new Firefighter 2, LT Firefighter 2 paramedic that I was literally 13 years ago or so. And this is his first professional career as a firefighter. He went through, the process of education, very smart, dialed dude. And now he's here. And it's like, and his age and everything is like, oh man, I was a PCF, and I had that ability to kind of, learn as a PCF and a volunteer, back in the day in my hometown. And now here you are. And it's really interesting. He just started like a month ago. And so, kind of sitting down, and what I've noticed and in preparation of this, conversation that I knew Mason and I were going to have was, I asked them this week, when we were on shift just a few days ago, I was like, what do you guys look for in a mentor? And it's like, well, patience, someone that actually, can show you. I've been doing a big thing like we're going to crawl before we even think about walking. And we're not running until way later. But you're also on duty, so we might be running tonight. I don't know. But it's really that just patience and just bringing it down a notch and explaining and making sure that the folks know what is expected of them. And honestly, I think the department does a really bad job at setting us up for this. Yeah, like I said earlier, there's a supervisor's toolbox and, stuff and things and onboarding and all that stuff. But I know, okay, when I got a new employee, I have to do the 227, the 155, the IPP7. And I don't know, is there a certain other IPP 2s and 3s specific to, the station or whatever? My expectations. And then, okay, that's all the paperwork you have to sign. So now let's go check out the fire engine. But even to have that check and balance of, hey, I'm the department, you are the supervisor. Do you know to do this? That's not across the board. And so I think with a mentor, you have to be willing to understand what the actual, what is the process that's going to set these guys up for success. And I always say too, with the union stuff, the progressive discipline, there's 3 phases. Preventive phase is number 1. And in that preventive phase is the expectations, is your job duty statement, is, so the PO 199, your notice of personnel action, the NOPA, all those things, you have to, kind of know those. And that's the preventive phase. I can't hold you accountable to something that you've never been shown. So, we got to start somewhere. And it's really been quite invigorating for me in my career to now have this brand new employee. It's like a breath of fresh air. And I'm able to recognize and understand where I'm at in my career, where this person is in his career, and, and build on that. Conversely, I have a newer engineer, been on the job for about a year and a half with me as an engineer. He was on a hand crew down in Purdue. He worked for the feds before. Clayton Miners, I know you're listening. God bless you. And it's interesting because now I'm kind of mentoring 2 levels. I'm trying to do everything I can for this engineer and trying to give him the ability to supervise as much as possible. And also in showing him kind of, hey, this is how we probably should, onboard a new employee and give them the tools and show them that we're going to crawl and then we're going to walk and then we're going to run, and really do these things. The mentors that I had, it was definitely, like I said earlier, like it was when I first showed up as that LT firefighter tube medic, there was just some like old salty captains, but they were dialed. Like you didn't question their authority or their knowledge or anything like that, because they've been around for a long time. They were just slow pace. One of the guys, he had a great line. He said, hey man, just relax. It's Pebble Beach. I'm like, goddamn fucking hey man. You're right. Just chill out. It's okay. We're going to be fine. We got, the best tools and equipment and all that stuff in the training, but just chill out. And so now I'm trying to inject that into these newer folks. That's like, we can just take it down a notch, and we just need to all make sure that we know what our actual job is going forward. But I also have, I understand that where I work is a very kind of pretty chill, slow coastal battalion, to where we're not running, 30 calls in a 24 like our brothers down in Riverside, getting, just knocked down 24/7, running like zombies all freaking night, So it's what develops what makes a good mentor for me in the past is just the patience and the empathy and the actual understanding. But also, to your point, Mason, earlier, it's like you have to be willing to be mentored, right? And I've been saying for a while, especially, to my folks, it's like, if you have a willingness to learn and want to do this job and be good at this job, I can supervise that all day. I know how to do that. And that goes with the union stuff too. If you want to come on board and you want to help out, you want to take an officer position, you're willing to pick up the phone and ask the questions, I can deal with that all day. But it's the folks that it's a job, not a career. I'm doing it maybe or maybe not for the right reasons. Everybody's bringing something different to the table with union stuff. Like, I don't know how to supervise those folks that don't come motivated. And so I'll ask, what motivates you? What's your 5-year plan? Like, where do you see yourself? Like, what do you want from me? Most of the time, like first day, like, at the coffee table in the morning brief or whatever, like my number one question was like, what do you guys need today? What do you? Because one of my mentors always told me, and he still tells me when I talk to him today, Colin McDonald, says, your job is to make sure that your guys are promotable. You get them off jack and you make them promotable. That's your job. So that's one thing that's always been said to me from a mentor to me that I've just been trying to produce. My job is to make you guys successful. And how can we get you journeyed, permanent? Do you want to go closer to home? Fine, then let's do that. Help me help you. But what's interesting is that a new person will, oh no, I want to do this. This is my, 3-year, and this is where, and then all of a sudden, it changes. And that's hard for me too, because like, hey, I thought we had a plan. Oh yeah, I know, but I changed my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Well, what are we doing now? So it's that's always been a good lesson for me is, just trying to be there. Patience has been one thing that's really helped me out a lot as far as the professional side, the fire side, is just patience and being there. With the union side and mentoring, it's hard because it's volunteer. Mm-hmm. It's totally a volunteer organization, and there is no discipline or anything like that. There is no standard. I mean, yeah, we have the bylaws and this is the Constitution, and yeah, you should be having 4 meetings a year based on all this stuff and things. And when you don't, it's like, well, it's hard. You don't want to push too much, because the more you push, then they're like, well, hey, it's volunteer. Like, I'm doing the best I can. You're right. You are doing the best you can. But do you remember that oath that you rose your hand to at convention when you were elected? Like, that means something, right? No? Oh, okay. So that's always hard, Kelly. is figuring out that part and like not pushing too hard, because the more you push, then it's like they're going to push back, and then all of a sudden now you don't have a chapter director or a rank and file director or a secretary or anybody else. And then if you don't have anybody, then it trickles up. There's nothing to delegate to. So that's really tough. I have not cracked that egg yet.
I don't know if we will. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very tough to mentor people. You can't alienate someone and then expect them to still put in that same level of commitment, effort, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And I'm going to give props for a second because I like something you said. You were describing with your crew, you can't hold someone accountable for what they don't know, what they don't know the expectations are.
Right.
And I want to change that a little bit because this confirms, I would say, your mentorship status. I'd say a lot of people say you ought to not hold people accountable about what they know. There are still people that will. And so the fact that you are saying, I can't hold him accountable if he doesn't know, I got to teach him up. That is the attitude we need to have going forward in our organization, in the union, because that's what makes great leaders. That's what makes great followers. That's what makes the membership.
Well, I mean, we went to the rep class together, right? We have a lot of these great classes that the union puts on: family liaison, finance, rep, all, advanced leadership, all those things. Do you think it's not enough? It needs more, or there's only so much you can spoon feed folks, and they just got to kind of start eating the salad themselves?
That's a tough one. I think our union does a pretty good job putting out resources. The classes are huge.
Yeah.
I know most other organizations do not
even close
have that level of training.
I mean, maybe with CPF, maybe with IFF at ALTS, but like the fact that we have these classes here, like we're pretty unique to that.
Yeah, I don't know any other organization where you just have to sign up for the class and show up. Right? That, to me, that's as close as it gets to putting the rope in your hands.
Yeah.
At some point you got to start pulling. No, I think we do a great job on that front.
But do you think there's more, or what can we, like, as far as, I mean, you're, newer to this organization, but 5 years into the department, you have probably more experience than some of engineers you might be working with. No offense to them, but
potentially,
and stepping up, to this union thing, like, do you see as, you're coming from where you are, what else, is there other things that we could be doing better to mentor, to, get those things out? I'm not trying to put you on blast. I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of where, it's kind of going.
Yeah. I think with the mentorship side of things, there's a skill within that of recognizing those who need mentorship, want mentorship, and that's a skill set on its own.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be willing to look throughout your organization and find those people that are ready, eager, looking for help. Like we talked about earlier, like going to union meetings. There's always those people who are there just to be there, which makes sense, right? They're dues paying members. They want to come hear what has to be said, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And then there's those people who you can see it through their body language, through the way they ask questions, the way that they're just that little bit more of involvement.
Yeah.
That there's something inside them that wants to know more. To me, those are the people where it's like, talk after the meeting, off the mic, whatever you want to call it. Ask like, hey, what are you interested in? Are you looking for more?
Yeah.
Finding those people who need mentorship and need that instruction to get them to that next step. And with that comes, within the union and in the career, meeting people where they're at.
Yeah.
Seeing, what's the level you're at? Where do you want to be? How can I help in that?
Right.
Because dealing with a 20-year fire captain who wants to get in the union is going to be different than a 3-year seasonal. He's going to know things, at least on the department side, that I don't. And so recognizing there is no cookie cutter recipe for how to build someone into it. It's case by case, and being able to be understanding enough, be empathetic, build them into what they want to be.
And it's a volunteer organization too, right? So we also don't have to glamorize it. I don't know if that's a word, as much as we are as far as the mentorship. Just be a good freaking person, like be a good supervisor, right? You can't teach leadership. No offense to the department having their leadership training, lit whatever. You can't teach it. You experience it. You grow into it. Now there can be leaders that are teaching classes, just like advanced leadership that the union does, right?
Yep.
There's guys and gals that have been around for a long time that are kind of, trying to give, some perspective and some scenario-based kind of training. But, you can't treat leadership. But as far as mentor, like defining a mentor, just be a good freaking person. It's not that hard. Just don't be a fucking asshole, right? But it's also a volunteer organization that we are in. And volunteer organizations, nonprofit volunteer organizations, we're not the first, we're not the last. It's really interesting. So I had to take a break from the union for a little bit. It was really hard and heavy doing a chapter director thing for a long time. Needed to take a break, stepped back. What did I do? I became the president of my kids' school's PTO. Yeah, talk about mama drama. Oh yeah, baby. And it was just volunteers. Mm-hmm. And so there was some bylaws. They needed some updating. I said, okay, we're going to update the bylaws and, call the meeting to order. And okay, there's a second. Is there any discussion? No further. And oh my God, what's going on? What is he doing? It's like, well, I'm doing a little process, a little procedure. It's all good, and just trying to give a little bit of just, procedure into this volunteer organization. And it was a hell of an experience for me. It was pretty fun. To just, be there and do as much as I can, for my kid and her education and in my community. But it's a volunteer organization, right? Yeah. So, you can get what you give. And if you give a lot as a union member, then, that's great. But we do need to kind of meet in the middle and getting people, being able to, grab them. There's this PTA, PTO mode, the PTO will haunt you for for your membership dues, and then if you want to volunteer, I got you. All right, you're going to do this, and this, but that's too much, right? It's too much. And what vested interest do you have in this, in this organization? And a lot of folks, well, not a lot. I don't want to generalize, but some folks get in this, unionship just maybe not for the right reasons. Or maybe for just different reasons or whatever. And recognizing that too. Why do you want to get involved? Can be an interesting answer. But hey, if somebody's willing to put in the time and willing to come and put in the effort, we'll take you, because we need help. I don't know how many sworn officers we actually have. Last I heard it was less than 200 for almost a 10,000, membership.
10,000 plus, yeah.
10,000 plus, dues paying members, and we have less than 200 officers. I mean, the ratio is off for sure. So, it cannot be easy.
Yeah, there's something to be said for even if you can't give as much as those people who are the all-stars of the union, the Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Many hands make light work.
Yeah.
Whether you're lifting 100 pounds or 10, it's a big lift in this organization. And
so you said something earlier too about the MOU and the contract. Look, we don't have a probationary period in this department. Yeah, sure, we have your 365, and you got to, you get evaluations, quarterly-ish, but we don't teach people what their rights actually are as far as the department side. They just leave it to us.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's definitely a gray area that I feel like is lacking in understanding your rights, and B, it leads to the misunderstanding or improper knowledge of what this union does. Mm-hmm. I feel like I talk to people a lot, and they're always shocked to find out we have in-house attorneys, that we have a full staff in Sacramento that does so much work. But these are things that people just don't understand or know, and that's where I can feel that empathy of I would be pissed off too if I was paying dues and thought it was just for the 5 officer positions within my unit who I see at union meetings. Like that's what this goes to, but there's so much more that goes on, and people just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
You got to meet people where they're at and build them up.
Yeah, the spoon feeding does get a little hard sometimes.
It does.
Somebody recently reached out to me and said, hey, really want to get involved with the union, our unit actually is progressive thinking, and they are doing a company officer leadership academy. They call it the COLA. And it is very good. It's a week long. Engineers, I think most of them are on Jack, and they kind of go through. It's kind of like C300, but like a little bit less. So it's not like the crazy like scenario, building like C300 is, but it's a little bit less, and it's really kind of building up those engineers. So I think it's a fantastic job. Shout out to George Nunez, Keith Sudama, Nick Ciradella, all those folks down at BEU that are handling business and trying to produce these leaders. One of these individuals reached out to us after the union came in. Derek Bosia is the chapter director now for BEU. We came in and kind of gave a little union spiel, kind of like we do with rehire, but a little bit, more leadership style. And the guy, hit us up afterwards and was like, hey, really like what you guys had to say, really want to get involved, what can I do? And so I wrote back, I'm like, look, man, honestly, the best thing you can do is go on the 2881 website, listen to the podcasts, read the magazines, read the Firefront, be as educated as you possibly can. Because that's what I had to do. Like, I'm not going to, and build your network, which obviously now we are in, but educate yourself. You have to open up the books. You have to read. Know that, read the MOU. If you don't understand, ask a question. But I don't know what else to do with that. I mean, September 5th is coming. If you want to be an officer, put your name in the hat. But you have to be educated. And a lot of folks just don't like that, because I can pull out my cell phone and I can get any answer I want right now across the entire world. Well, I want to know why this is happening this way with this MOU. I'm like, bro, you got to just educate yourself. And that's hard. And I honestly, that's the best I could come up with at that point. Does that make me a mentor, at that particular situation? I don't know. But, I can't, spoon feed you any more than that. There's information. You got to be able to, to read it.
Yeah, you have to start lifting at some point. And going back to asking my captain what to do and coming to convention, that was a test, right? I said, hey, I want more. Here's what I'm going to give you. It's then on me to take it or not. And if you want it, you'll do it. But just an example of like how little I knew at the time. Like I remember asking him, like, do I need to come in a class B? What do I need to wear? He's like, no, we shouldn't wear a class B to this. But right, no idea.
Yeah.
And so giving people those opportunities, meeting them where they are, and at some point they have to take a bite.
Yeah, and you got to just put the work in yourself, because this definitely takes work. It's volunteership, and it is not easy, and you got to put in the work. So,
yeah, I don't think there's any way around that.
No. As you were talking, you did mention something about, I know you have to put in the work and spoon feeding, finding that balance of helping them out, but also know where to find your resources, know what to do. But what's one thing that you wish after having been in it 5 years, 12, 15-ish,
13,
what's something that you know now, though? Like, if you could take away one thing that you wish you knew at the beginning. Because I know a lot of it is you just kind of have to get in there and learn as you go. For anything in life, really. But if there was one takeaway from your time in the union, in the department, as a mentor, as a mentee, that if you were just starting out 5 years ago, what do you wish you knew? Sorry, this wasn't on our approved list of questions.
Yeah. God, what I wish I knew now that I don't know, that I didn't know then. Deferred compensation. No joke. You need to put as much money aside as possible for it to build percentage or all that stuff as much as possible. That's a huge thing. Like on the back end, like I think new folks, we never think about like health benefits or retirement or anything like that. I should have been doing deferred comp like from the moment I first came in. That's something that's huge. And now the potential of doing a drop program for this next contract, or at least just, starting to, dive in and see what that would do. Is that on the bargaining table or in legislation? But the drop program, being a retirement benefit, and that is not spoon feeding. Look it up yourself. Look up drop program. But so back in retirement stuff, I think is something that I wish I was like really kind of pushed a lot more when I first started.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's definitely a big one that people don't. I definitely didn't think about my first few years. Fortunate enough to have captains and supervisors who talked about it enough to at least get the wheels turning. Obviously, you have to at some point start driving the car yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of those gray area nuances that you don't think about early in your career but are important. I'd say that was a huge thing coming in. Talking to guys who are later in their career, talking to guys that are retired. I'll drop Mike Gundry's name from AEU, like meeting him at convention and just hearing about all the different changes that have happened, and he's now into retirement and understanding what that looks like and what kinds of things to think about. That's so far off for me to even really start fathoming, but it's important to start,
Well, and
understand the process.
2.7 at 57. The fuck is that?
Yeah, that I really do hope.
Bro, I know. It's like 55 is, kind of in the mark. I mean, the one saving grace, I guess, is that you can't max out. You keep on, working and you never, you can continue to accrue those, percentage increases in the compounding and stuff like that. But that's hardcore. I'm an in-betweener. In 2012 was the PEPRA kind of like start to the reform.
Yep.
And so I got 3 at 55.
Yep.
And then January 1st of 13 is when the 2.7 at 57 started.
Yep.
So I don't know. Hopefully we can get it back to the 55. I mean, it's not much of a big difference between 57 and 55. But yeah, start etching that away because, if there's any legislators out there listening, you don't want a 57-year-old firefighter coming and, on the third story, coming in and grabbing your ass out. And if you think it's not going to happen, believe me, it is happening right now. Give us an opportunity to retire at a decent age, for the love of God.
I would agree. 2.757. At least in my career, if I fulfill that, that'll have been a 38-year fire career.
Ooh, damn.
I don't think you want me at 57.
No, dude, it's not. It's not realistic. It's literally not realistic.
No, yeah, and I hear your point. Like the whole not max out is a benefit. To me, it's hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
The way it compounds, right? Like on this formula, I can still retire at 50.
Right.
But my years are worth 2%.
Yeah.
And so there is at least for me, in my mind, it's like I got to go as long as I can to get that hopefully full 2.7 or 2.5 when I hit 55. And so I think that would be something huge to change. I really hope 3% at 55 comes around because we've got too many, myself and other kids, getting hired at 18, 19, 20, 21. It's unrealistic to think that you're going to be a professional firefighter late and that long.
Well, and that's a good, really like to round out your question, Kelly, it like when I first started, I wish I was actually explained and had a grasp and a comprehension of what my retirement like formula and all that stuff, what it actually means and what it looks like. I know you've been doing a really good job with the Union University and kind of explaining some of these things, but to actually like be able to sit down and understand what that is, I think that's a huge benefit. Of course, there's work things. I wish I knew more about the valves on my boat. like 10 years ago that I do now. That would have been cool, like to have a better understanding of my equipment because I'm teaching it now. But yeah, generally, retirement stuff for me is huge. And how can I actually really put aside, a decent amount of money, and not in crypto with you crypto boys out there. My bad, you're freaking day traders or whatever. I'm not talking about that crap. I'm talking about hard, 457s, Roth IRAs, like, safe stuff in the background. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think the Union U, I know I've watched the episode about reading your pay stub.
Yeah.
I've definitely watched that at least a half dozen times.
Right.
I think that's super important. And I think going hand in hand with that, like understanding how to read your e-pay.
Yeah.
What does all the different coding mean? Why do you have to put things in a very specific way? Because again, if you mess it up, the department's going to find it at some point, whether it's tomorrow or 5 years from now. And they're going to come back asking questions. And to me, that is a daunting experience as an employee. If you don't understand it yourself, and then they come back 4 years later and are like, hey, this doesn't add up, right? How are you possibly expected to know and deal with that situation? I mean, e-pay is...
Well, e-pays, what about EFC 33s, bro?
Yeah.
Is there, and I actually don't know, but is there like a template, like a training on the intranet or something like that? Because it's, all right, who's the best at EFC 33s? Okay, you're going to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Like literally we had guys that were out of county, on the Gifford fire, and they had to call us at the station to do their freaking EFC 33. I'm like, wait, what about times? I don't know. It hasn't been done. It's the end of the work period. Okay, I get, Clay, you good? Yep, I'm good. I can figure it out. All right, there you go. Like, come on, dude. And that's pay. And yes, I've gotten the call from when I was a captain in B-Land, like 3 years later. Hey, on this particular time, on this particular fire, this particular individual was partial 3 hours later. Was that because of, travel time back? I was like, yep. Okay. Thank you. I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah.
So all of those things, dude, like how do you, and it's timesheet fraud is what it comes down to. And I've read way too many freaking cases of timesheet fraud. And that goes back to that kind of mentorship. What's the department doing to actually set us up for success? I'm a captain, been a captain for about 5 years. I've never been trained on any of this from the department. So what are you doing? I'm just hoping to figure it out. Oh, and yes, I did sign the 227, which says that I have to adhere to all department policies, which I guess is this. So I have to adhere to this, but I haven't had any training on this, Don't even get me started on fiscal. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've never had a manual on EFC 33s. It was always just the captain or the senior guy taught what he knew and then say, okay, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're going to do all EFC 33s for the next 3 months or whatever it is, which works.
I mean, it works, paramilitaristic, right? I mean.
But when it doesn't.
Or you're not there, or you're out on an injury.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, shit, I don't have my guy. Who's my guy now?
I'm on vacation.
Right.
And it's an overtimer from another program or station. Coding and e-pay, like I feel like I've worked certain places and it's like, oh, you're working firefighter overtime, coded firefighter vacancy.
Yeah.
And now, okay, are you behind a vacancy? Are you behind someone on sick leave? Are you behind someone on vacation? Are you behind someone on bereavement leave? Those are all important things to put in there so it's correct.
Yeah.
But again, I was taught a different way in the past. No fault, but that's what the understanding was. I didn't know the difference.
Right. And why? How would you? You don't know. Yeah.
Am I going to be held accountable? Am I not? I don't know.
Well, thankfully, you have the plausible deniability in your rank. You don't necessarily, unless it's your timesheet specifically. But yeah, if you're doing FC33s for other people, I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope that I think we all just need to kind of step up and understand, what the job duties are and, and do what we're actually, paid and meant to do. And not just, put it off on somebody else.
Yeah. Understanding the why.
Yeah.
If you can understand that, whether it's e-pay, EFC 33s, the hose pull.
Yeah.
A tool out on a hand crew or a helicopter, you should probably be good.
Yeah, understanding the why. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I kind of want to close this out a little bit because we have been talking for a while, but we can, if you have more to add. But kind of just like an overarching, any last thoughts on mentorship, maybe whether it's a valuable lesson you've learned, or if someone, we have talked a lot about how to get involved and do that, but like any last minute points you want to add on mentorship in the union, in the department, in life, whatever.
Well, I think, with the union, somebody that's wanting to come in, I think it's incredibly invaluable. It's a skill, and not everybody can do it, although many people try. I had to take a break for a couple years, and you can only do so much for so long, but the willingness and ability to put yourself out there, really matters. And so, it's highly commendable to be able to just do that. It's totally volunteer, stepping up, stepping in, and doing it. And some people do say that your career gets grenaded, and I hate that. It should not be that way. We should be able to have an adult big boy conversation with the unit chief or whomever, wherever, whatever level you're at, and keep it professional and keep it business and not personal. Too many times that happens, and that's unfortunate, but I guess we are not alone. We are on the shoulders of those that have come before us. I'm not trying to get all cliche and preachy, but there's been a lot of people that have paved the road, before us to get where we are. And so if you're wanting to step up and step in, educate yourself, because next thing you know, you're the union guy and you're the one that people are calling. And that's a great thing. And keep your network wide. Keep asking those questions. Even sometimes when I feel like I know the absolute answer to whatever is being asked me, I still reach out because all of it can kind of be gray. And, I did a lot of direct dealing back in the day, unfortunately, just unknowingly. And so really making sure, that the union hall is abreast to what's going on, letting Boctor know the weird things that's happening at the chapter level, letting Tim Edwards know, hey, this is some political action stuff that's kind of being a little funky down here. And just, it actually is a little empowering when you reach out to those folks and ask them the questions or kind of put it to them, because then it's not just you and your own self answering this question. No, I called Boctor, or I called Manoa. I called Darren Dow. I called Tim Edwards. I called those people before me. They gave this advice and it's all good. Because one thing that I always tell folks that are coming up with the union stuff is, look, you are not labor. You're not the end-all be-all labor. You are a representative of labor to a much greater organization. So don't be making these these decisions and changes unilaterally just by yourself. Reach out, network, and typically that will then keep you out of trouble, because the things that we agree on with the unit chief at this particular time, that could have serious ramifications across the unit, across the region, across the state that are bad. Mm-hmm. That now, all of a sudden, like you said, going from AEU to Santa Clara, it's a very different, different organization. Different. It almost feels like a different, different machine. Different machine. It feels like a different department, right? Mm-hmm. And some of that is because, that's how AEU did it. And now that's how Santa Clara does it, or that's how Purdue does it. Now that's how Monterey does it, or whatever. And so, just reaching out, keeping that network, and realizing, having some humbleness. And realizing that I'm representing a greater thing. And so reach out, talk to people. It's all good.
And I do think that people don't realize that actually, President Edwards and Peter Boctor, they are really accessible.
Absolutely.
They're not like you can't talk to them. There are ways to get a hold of them, or your DVPs are accessible. Like, definitely there's people to reach out to. And to do that.
Yeah. I remember I felt like such an asshole like a couple of years ago. I hit up Tim Edwards about something, and it was, kind of urgent-ish, like from my perspective. And I hit him up about it, but I didn't even realize that it was Sunday. And I didn't realize that it was Easter Sunday. And he texted me back, hey, more than happy, but do you mind if I get back to you later this week? I'm with the family right now. Oh yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm like, oh my God, you're such an asshole, dude. You text him on freaking Easter Sunday, bro. But he answered. Like they're there, they're there. They are accessible. And if they don't answer, I guarantee you they will be replying to you within the day or so, So yeah.
And even for staff, we funnel questions where it needs to go too. So if you do,
You triage? Is that what you're saying?
Triage.
You triage?
I can't tell you what happens after, but we do triage and send to the right people.
So somebody can literally I don't even know anything anywhere, but I feel like something's wrong, and they can literally just cold call the 916 Union Hall.
Cold call the office. They could email communications@l2881.org. They can go on the website and fill out the Ask L2881 form, and we do trickle it to where it should go.
Awesome.
And then if you don't hear an answer, then follow up, because then, as you know, people do get busy and things need to be pushed, but we do try and direct them to the best person at that time.
Yeah. Good triage.
Yeah.
It's good
Unless you're not a
organization.
dues paying member, then here, sign up, and then we will gladly help you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Pay your dues.
Yes. Janus versus AFSCME.
Not a hard process.
Fucking assholes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, my conclusion, at least for today, kind of the reason for wanting to do this, I feel like we've talked a lot about finding mentors, finding mentees, growing in that process. But to me, again, going back to understand the why, understand the importance of mentorship. To me, especially right now with the organization, growth is the overarching theme. And to me, the importance behind mentorship is this is how we build in succession planning for the organization, for the union. There is a need for mentorship if we want to continue to hold the standard that this professional organization has.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be a good person. Just don't be an asshole.
It comes back to that a lot. A lot.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks, Mason. This was a good idea. I appreciate you getting me up here.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, and actually I was able to bring the family up too. And so it was kind of the first time that I brought the family up here doing union stuff. So that was cool for them to kind of, we cruised down, past the Union Hall, pointed it out, went to the Capitol and stuff like that. So this was a good thing. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming. This is the fire service and the union is a 24/7, 365 job. So
yeah.
Whatever we can do to make it a little easier sometimes.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
You guys are welcome back anytime.
Appreciate it.
We're always looking for. The podcast is based off feedback we get from you guys. So
Yeah. Awesome.
anytime.
Right on.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you guys next time.